TKO Boxing with Sherry Abbasi. Today we're in Manchester and I'm joined by a special guest, Mr. Jabran Bilal, aka Mexican Style. Jabran, first of all, assalamu alaikum, bro. Thank you for giving me a bit of your time today. And how are you?
Wa alaikum salam, I'm good, thank you.
Good. Thanks for giving me a bit of your time, like I said. Jabran, again, this conversation today, me and you have known each other for a little while now, but the conversation today is to sort of get to know you a bit better and give the boxing fans a bit of an insight into your background, your story, and what you're trying to achieve in boxing. So the best place to start, which is a bit of a basic question, how did someone like yourself find yourself getting involved in the sport of boxing?
Boxing, I was always messing around as a young kid, scrapping on the street. Never a bad kid, but I just get caught up in fights. Fighting in school, fighting at the mosque, which is not probably the best thing. But yeah, it just one thing led to another. I thought I got caught up in boxing. I saw a couple clips on TV and I said, I want to try this. And I've been hooked ever since.
So obviously, the stories are like, fighting in school, fighting the mosque. These are things we've all experienced as kids as well. But actually, sort of getting into a gym, the first steps into a gym, and then not only the amateurs, then getting into professional ranks. What sort of inspired you to go down that route? I appreciate, like you said, you're fighting and stuff, but was your father or a family member someone who sort of pushed you to get into the gym? Or, what was the story there?
No, nothing like that. No one in my family boxed before. I just got into the gym and I fell in love from beginning, to be honest. It was tough, it was hard, but I love to fight. I love having a scrap. I love the sparring. They put me in the ring and I was just letting my hands go. And I felt, wow, I can do this. And of course, I started watching Mike Tyson videos like a lot of fighters do. And honestly, I just took one thing led to another, and I just kept going to the gym, improving, practicing, trying to practice be like Mike Tyson, move my head. And I just developed from there, really.
I think it's interesting how you mentioned Mike Tyson, because that's someone who people of our generation, and especially even our parents, for example, that's someone that everyone knows, the baddest man on the planet, someone whose style is, again, very unique style. We've never seen anything like that since. Someone who, if he was around now, can we imagine how viral he would go every fight with his knockouts and his, peekaboo style and all that? So it's quite interesting that Mike Tyson's someone that, you watched and sort of were inspired by in a lot of ways. Getting into boxing, like we said, it wasn't anything to do with family, it was organic. You went to the gym. What was your first experience like? Do you remember your first day, or do you remember what the first time getting punched in the face in the gym was like, and how did you react?
First day, we was in the mirrors. Was learning our stance, where to place our hands, keeping our chin down. First spar, I remember, but I remember getting hit. I didn't think anything of it because, like I said, I had fights before actual boxing. So I just thought, this is cool. This is what it is. I got to keep moving my head.
Not get hit too much.
Yeah, in fact, yeah.
In terms of, obviously, like I said, quite a young age. How old were you when you got in the gym?
13.
So 13 was when you actually set foot in the gym to learn properly.
Gym, I was 13 years old, and I fought maybe 6-7 months later.
Right. Is that a quick turnaround for someone that age, or?
Yeah, it depends what gym you go to, and if you're in the gym regular and the trainers like you and they say you're progressing well, they say, hang on, let's put him in the ring and let's really test him. So I fought maybe honestly, it's about 6-7 months later.
In terms of yourself, stylistically, how would you describe yourself as a boxer? Are you orthodox, southpaw, and what sort of style do you have? Are you an aggressive fighter, or are you more of a thinking man's fighter?
Coming up, I thought I was Mike Tyson, but then I understood the game and I realized you got to box and you got to move, you got to do what suits you. So I'm more of a boxer, puncher, mover. It really depends on the opponent at the same time, and I can box both orthodox and southpaw. As a professional, I switch it a lot in the gym. I might do one round orthodox and the second round, the third round southpaw, and I keep switching it.
So switching is quite a big thing. It's a unique thing in the sport, in the sense that we very rarely see a lot of top-level fighters do it. Terence Crawford, Tyson Fury to an extent, Kell Brook did it here and there, but you don't see a lot of fighters doing it. How did you know that you could fight both ways?
I met a guy named Harold Bomber Graham, a legend in the game. You're shaking your head, you're nodding your head. And I was hitting the pads with him, and I was hitting the pads as an orthodox fighter, and he goes, turn southpaw. I said, I can't do it. He goes, do it, try it. I said, I can't do it. He goes, just try it. So I turned southpaw, and I threw my right hook. I threw from a southpaw stance, and it just come pretty much I can actually do this. So ever since then, working with Bomber Graham, he primarily he's known to switch it. So he taught me the style. So ever since then, I've been boxing orthodox and southpaw. Because of him, I put a lot of credit because of Harold Bomber Graham.
That's a very big name to be thrown out there. Who taught you that? In terms of what sort of age were you when that happened?
17, 18, after 4 or 5 years boxing, I started boxing southpaw and I started copying the moves. What I started watching. So I went from Mike Tyson and I started watching Bomber Graham, Prince Nassim, and those guys from Sheffield like had to move like that. Even a bit of Sergio Martinez as a southpaw. I was watching Pernell Whitaker. So I used to watch those southpaw left-handed fighters and I just tried to emulate. So I used to go on YouTube, watch the fighters, and do what they did. Yeah.
I've got to mention, you just mentioned someone who's one of my favourite fighters ever, Sergio Martinez. One guy who doesn't get a lot of credit, but serious fighter. Sure. So again, so it took a few years for you to sort of start switch hitting. What are you more comfortable doing?
Both, really. As an orthodox fighter, I don't want to leak too much.
That's fine.
Orthodox fighter, I fight a certain way, and a southpaw fighter, I fight a certain way.
But you're happy doing both, basically.
Yeah, for sure. But they're both different.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So you can show people different looks in the ring. So it shows that you've got dimensions to your game. Then you're not someone who's just straightforward, easy to figure out. Which is essentially, that's the beauty of boxing. Where there's always a way to beat someone or figure out a different way to tackle the puzzle in front of you. Essentially. So yourself, Jabran, you turned pro in 2018, I believe. You've had 9 fights. Had a bit of inactivity along the way. Things going on in your life. Tell me what the plan is moving forward for you. Hopefully.
Plan right now is get back in tip-top shape. So I'm in training camp right now. Next 5-6 weeks, I should be in fighting condition. And I want to go. I want to fight. I know my position in the game. I know I've been looked at as an opponent. The opponent being the B side and going into a final.
So Jabran, tell me a little bit about the gyms you used to train at when you first started boxing. Did you have one particular gym that you started at and finished at as an amateur, or did you sort of jump around at different gyms?
I was training at Finchley ABC. That's when I first started boxing, based in North London, Barnet. Trained under John Oliver, legendary amateur trainer, legendary coach in himself. Like, to this day, we still speak. We're still in contact. I still speak to him on a once a week. Was at minimum. I'll check in with him. We're very cool. I had 41 amateur fights over there. So I took a break from boxing. I went over. I did some other things at another gym, just to stick over, stay fit, and learn some other skills. This was John Oliver stopped training as an amateur, so I just felt, I'll try elsewhere. Then I started boxing again. I went to Islington Boxing Club, which was cool. I learned some stuff there too. I was only there for a short period of time though. So
both of these clubs they're North London based.
Correct, yeah.
And just to touch on, going back, Finchley ABC is where Anthony Joshua and Derek Chisora also had trained back in the day as well.
Yeah, for sure. But a whole load of killers those days, for sure. Those guys were killers, monsters. I remember seeing Joshua spar Chisora, Joshua sparring Fury. Yeah, there was some other fighters who their names never blew up. They never took over. They were
talented.
Very talented, very top level fighters, tough sparring on a regular basis. I was in the gym 4 days a week, and there was some tough sparring there.
But having just said that, for example, just to have those two names coming out of a gym like that, it says a lot, because they've both accomplished great things in the sport. They've been big names, made a lot of money, things like that. So it just shows that there's all around the country, there's so many gyms that have people that make it and people that, like you said, we don't hear about, but they're excellent fighters. Are there any guys that when in that gym, for example, even Islington, who you sparred, who you thought were going to go on to do something that maybe didn't? Not necessarily their names, but were the people you sparred and thought they're going to be big one day, but you never heard of them?
Yeah, there was a few. For whatever reason, whatever happened in their life, they never pursued boxing as a career. But there were some really good fighters there. And I think in other gyms that I've been to up and down the country, you see kids and no one knows who they are, but they're special, because I think I've got an eye to realise who's good and who's not. I've been in the game long enough. But for whatever reason, their career doesn't take off.
As a boxing fan, things like that really, not like, I wouldn't say they bother me, but it makes you wonder, imagine how many hidden gems there are, how many talents out there who they could be walking down the street right now next to us, and they could have been next level, they could have had all sorts of opportunities if they, pursued it or for whatever reason. But I guess that's just the game, isn't it?
It's the game, maybe, but you can't just say live. Maybe they gave up themselves. Maybe they got their girlfriend pregnant. So anything is possible.
Whatever the circumstances are.
You never know. You never know.
Absolutely. So again, you were North London based at the time, North London gyms that you trained in. Talk to me about what led to the decision to actually pursue this as a full-time career, because the average person doesn't want to get punched in the face for a living. So there's got to be a certain level of obsession or passion to want to do this. What drove you to actually go into the pros?
I knew from day one. I saw my amateur career. I had 41 fights as an amateur, but I knew from day one I was preparing for the professional ranks. I never thought myself, oh, I'm going to go to the Olympics. And I never thought, like, my style wasn't based around Olympic boxing. Amateur boxing and pro boxing, two different sports. So I just went in the amateur game just to pick up experience, just to fight on a regular basis. I don't know if they still do it now. I had 2 fights in one night. So I don't know if they still do that. But I had 2 fights in one night. As a fight, there was no training camps, by the way. A lot of people talk about 6-week, 8-week training camp. I remember being at school, my trainer used to send me a message, oh, are you free tonight? Do you want to box? I said, yeah, absolutely, let's go. So it was like, it wasn't like, I never got 6-week notice or month notice or anything like that. It was on the day, are you available tonight? Or sometimes there might be occasion when you might pull up to the gym for training. They say, yo, we got a bout for you down the road. Do you want to take it? Are you ready? I said, let's go. So it was like that. It was all experience. I never thought about, oh, I see myself as like to build my amateur career and protect my record. There's nothing like that. You might lose 10 amateur fights in a row, but you might turn over as a professional and become a multi-weight world champion. It's totally irrelevant. I just see it based as fully as experience. So I will tell young kids as well, like they get disheartened, they might take a loss or two, and might think, oh, boxing is not for them. I said, no, it's just experience, just amateur boxing. You're not fighting for money, you're just fighting for trophies.
Yeah, so that's a very good answer. I want to touch on something you said there about the sport of boxing being different to amateur boxing, for example. Based on your experience, you've lived the sport, both amateur and currently as a pro. What would you say are the main differences between amateur boxing and pro boxing? And what I mean by that is, Audie Harrison, Olympic gold medalist, turned over, wasn't a very good pro. Modern day, not equivalent, but modern day, we're seeing, Ben Whittaker's getting that criticism that, oh, he was a silver medalist, but now he hasn't really done anything yet. We'll see what he does, on the weekend against Liam Cameron if he comes through that. Then we'll find out what he's made of really. What would you say as a fighter and someone who's lived this life or is living this life, what are the main differences for people that don't know?
Style-wise, you already kind of touched on it, style-wise, but I think of another side what people don't talk about is that people know you're an amateur boxer, they don't leave you alone. But when people hear you're a professional boxer, you have so many new friends, people want to jump on and start bugging your phone. They want to say, oh, don't train tonight, come, let's go out. They want to take a photo with you, you're a professional boxer. Everyone's trying to finesse you. Do you understand that word?
Absolutely, yeah.
People just want to finesse you and try to use you in it.
Clout chasing.
Yeah, a lot of clout chasing. People think you're making millions of dollars, millions of pounds because you're a professional boxer. They don't understand the life. They don't understand the grind. I think that's another difference, not just style-wise. I think being an amateur professional, lifestyle as a professional, people don't realize like just because you turn professional doesn't mean you've made it. You're still a long journey to go.
And also, I think this sort of touches on the lifestyle part as well. I feel like I've not boxed, so I don't know, but as a die-hard fan, hardcore fan, however you want to call it, I feel like there's probably more of a safety net with amateur boxing. What I mean by that is, yes, you're not getting paid the way you get paid or could get paid as a pro, but there's a safety net of your gym, your coaches, there's a community there. Whereas you're a lone wolf essentially as a professional fighter. It's all on you. Yes, you've got a team, but you're paying that team to be in your corner, and they're there for their benefit essentially, which is fine because it's also a business. But do you get my point? Like, it's a very, very different type of thing where professional boxing is just a completely different, game altogether. Does that make sense?
Yeah, amateur boxing is like you got a full-on stable, everyone's supporting everyone. Pro boxing, if you're not with a full-on stable, it's just primarily just you in the gym or maybe another fighter. So it's a big difference. When I was in the amateurs, there was like 40 of us. Now I'm a professional, there was only one other professional in the gym. So it's a big difference.
And how does that make you feel?
I'm okay with it because I bounce off guys over on WhatsApp who are my friends in the game. So I don't mind it too much. I'll be honest, it doesn't affect me.
So that transition from having that many people in the gym to maybe one or two hasn't really affected you?
No, not really, no. Not really.
So you're in a good headspace, that's good.
Yeah, for sure.
Mentally,
you have to be on point in this game. You can't just think physical. Maybe other people think boxing is physical game. Professional boxing is a mental sport.
Talk to me a little bit more about the mental side of boxing. We touched on it just then. Obviously, we know it's a very, very physical sport, but the mental side that you said is probably just as, if not more important than the physical side. Can you give me a bit more insight as a fighter into how important that being in the correct headspace is for a boxer?
Yeah, you just got to be on point. Nothing should be distracting you in life. Like, if you're going into a fight, you need to be physically ready and understand you're going into a fight, end of the day. And so you can't have other things on your mind, or you can't overlook. I'm not saying overlook your opponent, but you just can't be overlooking the task in hand. And the task in hand is to fight and win. Don't think about, oh, I got this tomorrow. I need to do this. Happened last week. I still got other things going on in my life. No, you're boxing, you're fighting. This should be your full focus. But it's tough because, like I said, professional boxers, a lot of us, we've got day jobs. So other things happen in life. It's not just primarily boxing. So that's what guys don't see. They just think, oh, you're training for a fight and you're fighting. And that's it. No, there's so much. There's like, that's just 5% that you may see. There's like 95 other percent that things are going on in life that you don't see. So it's a tough game.
I think it's quite important actually that we highlight that, because people probably just look at the boxers that we know on the big stage, for example, a Canelo, a Triple G, whoever, yeah? These type of guys where we see that they've got these camps for 12 weeks up in the hills in these nice, areas where they go lock themselves away from their families, or sometimes their families are with them. They've got the luxury of being able to do that because they're at such a high level where they're already zoned in and whatnot. Someone, who like yourself, where like you said, people at this level have to have jobs. There's 101 other worries and concerns that tie in with having to fight as well. How do you get yourself in that headspace, and how do you manage to sort of compartmentalize everything?
It's tough. I've had 9 pro fights, and I won some fights and I lost some fights. But I think I'm at a stage now, age now, where I realize I've taken a back seat from boxing. I'm 40 in like a year and a half, maybe just almost a year and a half. I haven't fought, but I've been reflecting and I've been analyzing the pros and cons and the goods and bads of my structure, my training camp. I think you need the right people next to you, around you. You need a good trainer, you need a good manager, and you need good friends around you. You need to know, like, my experiences. I've had 9 fights, won some fights and lost some fights, but it's boxing. But what I've noticed, I've taken a back seat. Like, I haven't fought in almost a year and a half, but I've just been reflecting, like, how many people have been in my ear telling me this, telling me that over WhatsApp or in person. When I go Asda, I'm not a big name or big star. People telling me, oh, you need to do this in boxing, you need to do that in boxing. Like, and sometimes I actually do take it into account, but really, at the end of the day, I need to tell them, like, you need to take a back seat and chill, mind your own business without being rude. A lot of people want to butt in, and the fighters, like myself, we might take it on board, but I think you need to know you're the fighter, you got a trainer and you got a manager, that's it. You don't need anyone else. You might have someone who you may hire, or just a close friend who's involved in boxing can give you advice. Our limits: advisor, trainer, manager. That's it.
So essentially, not having too many cooks in the kitchen.
Not too many. That ruins a fight, and everyone wants to be involved in a fighter's career. Look at me. I'm not a big name fighter or a top level fighter, but not everyone, but a lot of people I know want to be a fighter. End of the day, they want to be a professional fighter. And just to say, yeah, the professional fighter, they want to be in that position. But that's why everyone feels the need to drop comments. Maybe it's the same with football and basketball, and say, oh, the player needs to do this and do that.
Armchair critics, and
yes,
like me.
A lot of them, But the fighter needs to be mentally strong to listen to it. If they want to take it on board, if you want to take it on board. If not, just see you later with it.
Keep it moving
Keep it moving.
Do you know who Max Kellerman is from HBO?
Yeah.
You're one of the old school guys. You watch HBO.
Random question hit me.
No, is that random? It's something that clicked in my head when you mentioned what you said about everyone wants to get involved, and people you have that attention as a fighter, whatever level you're at. Yeah, people want to get involved. When you hear professional fighter, professional boxer, it brings that intrigue, that bit of clout chasing. It starts there. When you hear that word. He said on TV about 5 or 6 years ago, he was on a TV show on ESPN, and he said, boxing might not be the biggest mainstream sport, but he said, go to 4 street corners. You got basketball on one, baseball on one, American football on one. This is not professional, and then on the last corner you've got a fight, where guys are getting stuck in, lamping each other, punching each other up, whatever. He goes, where's the attention going to be? As a human being, what's the natural instinct? Where will your attention take you? Will it take you to a guy or, kicking a ball or, with a bat and a ball? Or will it take you to that human, natural, sort of visceral instinct of there's guys fighting? Do you know what I mean? Big boxing events capture the attention of the world. Do you know what I mean? And like you mentioned about, professional fighters having that, hearing that, professional fighter, it's a head turner. It is. People will take an interest.
For sure.
Now, in the day and age where we've got social media and things like that now, the difference, and it's something that we've spoken about off camera recently as well, you got professional fighters, whether you've got 1,000 followers or 10,000 followers, people are still going to come up to you and want to know who you are. Then it will just depend on how big you are in terms of their interest after that. Will they carry on following you, or will they just, you're cool, either nobody or whatever, he's not that important.
Yeah.
But you get a point, they will still take an interest initially, but it's just a matter of what do they learn about you, is he a big name or not? Do you know what I mean? But that initial bite will be, I'm a professional boxer, people want to know. Do you know what I mean? So I find it interesting, like, as a boxing fan, because, you've lived this and you're still living it. So for you, it's a lifestyle. Do you know what I mean? It's a lifestyle. For me, I'm obviously a fan. I watched it from a young age and I'm obsessed with it, but I haven't lived it. Do you know what I mean? So am I even qualified to be talking about it? Do you know what I mean? It's one of them ones where armchair critic, like I said when we were just talking there, like, who can tell people how to box, how not to box? Can I sit there and analyse something better than you?
Boxing wise? No.
Yeah. So do you believe that only people that have boxed can do that?
No, but I feel like fighters got a different eye to it and understand how it feels. So a lot of people say position yourself in this way and like, but they don't understand. We know as fighters, if we're in that position,
what can happen? And I feel like they can talk. A lot of guys can talk more freely, but they don't understand that when they get hit, the brain rattles. Consequences there.
Yeah, the brain rattles, and they never experience that. It's not a nice feeling. It's not a nice feeling.
When you actually, once you've been hit and buzzed,
it's not a nice feeling to get hit. Yeah, it's not a nice feeling. So that's what the feeling is. A lot of people
they glamorize it.
They can study and write a book about something, but they can't about anything, not just boxing. You can go about Thailand, for example, but they can't tell you what it smells like or what the food tastes like because they've not been there.
Yeah, sorry, I went a bit of a tangent.
But I'm not
there.
knocking people who criticize fighters. I'm just saying, as a fighter,
it's
people
different.
are criticizing, just block it out. Don't get it. Don't listen to it. Just listen to your trainer, manager, and like I said, if you got advisor, that's it. 3 people.
Keep it simple.
Don't bother with the internet people, or don't bother with other friends and family members, who want to give the input. Yeah, it's too many. It's too many. And that's what I've taken a back seat from boxing, and I've just thought I've coming back after almost a year and a half, and I'm just thinking, you're not involved. I haven't changed my number, but I don't entertain certain people in my life because I take boxing very serious, or I try to. I want to do something with it. I'm not going to have certain people in my lifestyle, in my life. And as other people see me say, oh, we don't see you here, there, like you used to. I said, bro, I just mind my business. So I'm trying to.
But that's what you have to do.
I'm trying to get locked in. I don't take it personal. Like, I've got a lot of love and respect for certain people, but I wouldn't go and see you because I know I'm going to get interviewed about
distraction
boxing.
as well.
I don't want to talk boxing. I just want to focus on my own thing.
Get back
involved. Because I don't go to other people's. Oh, you need to do this, you need to do that. So I just keep it moving.
Keep it simple. Yeah. Thank you for sort of giving me that in-depth response there. Appreciate that. And it does say a lot about how people can have the best intentions, but also be interfering at the same time. And that must be very tricky for boxers when they're trying to get in that headspace. Like we said, it's very important to have that sort of that peace, that mental peace is key because it's very, very important. But moving on from the mental aspect and the physical aspect of boxing, talk to me a bit about what your ambitions are in the sport. Of course, everyone can say, I want to be a world champion, I want to do this, X, Y, Z. You've already told us about having the amateur background, being a pro and enjoying fighting. But what is the long-term ambition for Jabran Bilal in the sport of boxing?
I've had 9 fights, and I won some and I lost some. Right now, I just want to fight. I'll be honest. That's what's in my heart. I want to fight the best guys. A lot of people try, like I was saying, they give me advice, do this and do that. Me personally, I want to go as an away fighter on the B side and challenge myself. That's the only thing I'm interested in. And if I can fight and beat you, I beat you. And if you beat me, you beat me. We'll move on. We'll fight again, maybe, and we'll just keep it moving. I want to stay active. I want to fight. I don't want to do this 2 fights a year or 3 fights a year. I want to genuinely, honest to God, I'm looking at June. I want to fight twice a month. if possible, let's just go twice a month, if not once a month. And I want to make some money. I want to keep it moving. I don't see boxing, because you've had 1 loss or 2 losses, 3 losses, even 5 losses or 20 losses. You got to keep fighting. You got to keep pushing. You know, there's a clip of Roger Mayweather who knows about boxing. He said, this fight, so-and-so's got 5 losses. So what? He goes, the best fighter of all time got 25 losses. So what? That's how I see boxing. I think fighters, wasting time, just padding your record and looking good on social media, saying, "Oh, you've had 10 fights, 10 wins," but versus who? What you done? You never challenged yourself. You never really made any money from the game. You never tested yourself. You don't know how good you are. You've never done anything, but it looks good. Fair enough. I can say, I can go Mexico or Colombia and fight easy fights and easy opponents and get my record up, and it will look good. Which makes sense, playing the game 100%. I'm not going to... Some guys do that. They play the game and it looks good and it might work out long term. But me personally, I don't want to do that. I just want to fight. I want to fight the best guys. Whoever thinks they're the best, I want to fight at 154, 11 stones. That's the junior middleweight division. And I want to see who's the best out there. And if you beat me, fair enough. It is what it is. It's boxing, end of the day. It's the sport. You win some and you lose some. I want to keep going. I want to challenge myself. That's what honestly got to interest me. I'm not concerned about anything else other than having a good fight.
So you want to challenge yourself, yeah?
Yeah, for sure. And stay active like the old school fighters. Like I said twice a month, and you made the face thinking, oh, wow. Yeah. But if you look at the old school world champions, Henry Armstrong, that's what I'm into. He lost his first 4 fights, he won 1. But then he went on a streak and he kept winning and kept winning. He became champion. He defended his title, world championship title, 4 times in 1 month as a world champion. And I can't do that as like if I'm fighting 8, 10 round fights or 6 round fights. I can fight at least twice a month. It's my manager, Carl Greaves. I called him up. I said, that's my ambition. And he goes, get fit, give me a call and let's go.
You know, hats off, man. Fair play.
Let's go.
Because, like you said, it's the old school ambition, and trying to go back to the roots of boxing and what it means to be a fighter, essentially.
For sure, we got to fight. I think boxers wasting time fighting once a year, twice a year. Fair enough, you're making a load of money, that's how you want to live your life. Me personally, I've got in my heart and what's in me to help me sleep. I gotta fight. But you know what? Some people will probably like scoff at that or laugh at that. But this is it's deep. It's deep because I like old school boxing. And old school boxing, all the fighters, they're going into having 80 fights, 90 fights, 100 fights in the career. I've had 9 fights. That's baby numbers. I don't like the sound of it. I've had 9 fights. What's 9 fights? I want to fight.
What have you learned about yourself?
Yeah. I want to have 50 fights, 60 fights, and say, listen, I tried. At least I tried, isn't it? Some people don't even try. I want to try. I train hard. When I do train, I've been training camp. I just started camp. I train hard.
Yeah, facts.
I don't want to waste my time fighting an easy opponent. I want to fight.
You want to find out how good you are and what you're really about.
I want to see how good I am. And if you beat me, it is what it is. I don't take it personal. My life carries on. I've had losses before. My life continues. Yeah. My life probably got better. So it is what it is. I'm not bothered about other people's opinion, what they say and what they think, what's on paper. I'm not bothered. It don't interest me. I even spoke to my trainer about this. I said, that's what interests me. I don't want to fight a guy who's got X amount of losses and just not coming to win. I'm coming to win at every fight I have. I'm not just going to cover up and say, yeah. I'm not just coming for a paycheck, basically. I'm coming to fight and win.
I think that takes me to another point, actually. Mentioning about, challenging yourself, fighting the best, staying active. All these things are what boxing should be. Yeah, and over the years, boxing's lost its way a bit. Like we said, boxers will only fight once or twice a year, and will only fight for the biggest paychecks, not necessarily about challenging themselves. In recent times, we've seen the involvement of Saudi Arabia, Riyadh season, Turkey Al Sheikh, and we've seen now, of course, boxers are getting paid a lot of money to do it, but we're seeing the best fight the best. Whether that's good or bad in terms of long term, that's a separate issue. But me and you were out in Riyadh in February, and we saw a very quick turnaround of 4 months for Beterbiev and Bivol, 2 of the best fighters on the planet. No questions about it. They put on 2 amazing fights. They challenge themselves. There's no question. No one can argue otherwise. They're the two best in the weight class. They got in the first time and they got in again, and they're going to do it again a third time. Yeah. So in the span of 12 months, we're going to get 3 fights between two of the very best in the sport. And you're saying that yourself, yes, you may not be at that elite level in the sport, but it's still that same principle that applies. It's about challenging yourself to show how good you are, to push yourself, and to show what you can achieve in the sport. Essentially, isn't it?
If you're not doing that in boxing, you shouldn't be boxing. You're wasting your time, your family's time. You're wasting money. Because I know how much your health, you could put that same energy into something else. You're just completely wasting your time, I feel. I think the game is going back to... I like what they're doing over in Saudi Arabia. The fighters are fighting. Fighters are fighting. And that's what boxing is about. I don't think, because you lost your back of the queue, you can't always win. It happens. If you look at Formula One, how many drivers are driving? 20 of them? I'm not sure. Maybe about 20, 15. And you get one or two the same names kind of winning, but what about the other guys? They don't stop boxing, they don't stop racing because they lost. It just they go again. Only in boxing, you just feel like, if a fight loses, you're done.
But we're getting away from that now, like you said, with the involvement of Riyadh season. Because even when someone loses a fight, as long as they've shown a good showing, they'll get called back again. And then it'll be the next guy versus the next guy in the ranking. So we're getting back to some sort of respectful place in boxing, where it's not all about I've taken a loss, I'm finished. That's a lot of crap, if we're being honest. So it's good to see you've got that mentality as well. And like I said, it's a deeper thing, and it's what's inside you. And sometimes you can't put it in words, because whatever level you're boxing at currently, you might have the heart of a fighter who's actually an elite level fighter, if that makes sense. And that desire within you is to be at that top level. Some guys, get to a top level, but they bottle it or they quit. Do you know what I mean? It's just because you're at this level doesn't mean you can't or don't belong at that level as well. Certain qualities might be different, if that makes sense. Some fighters have physical gifts, but once they get hit once or twice, you see everything changes. Some guys might not have the physical gifts they have, but they'll beat them because of their heart and desire, and they'll break them down.
I feel like I'm a good fighter. I wouldn't be boxing if I didn't feel like that. I just don't want to fight. I don't want to fight and just get beat up. And say,
absolutely. You don't want to be a journeyman, essentially.
I genuinely feel like I'm a good fighter. I believe I'm a good fighter. So, and I want to test myself. That's it, really. So
the plan for you is essentially from June onwards to get active. You said you wanted to roughly get in maybe 10 fights in 2025. Talk to me a bit about what the long-term plan is.
Keep fighting. Fight the best guys, beat the best guys, challenging myself. Hopefully get on one of those big shows in Riyadh. They do the Grand Prix. What's going on? They don't have my weight class at the minute, but hopefully the next time around there's a junior middleweight division competition. I'd love to get myself involved. Fight guys on Matchroom, The Zone. Who's the top guys at 154 with Queensbury, top rank, Golden Boy. I want to fight and mix in with the best of the best.
So as Adrian Broner said, anybody can get it, yeah?
Yeah, just like that, yeah, for sure.
So the fact that you're willing to sort of, put your name in the hat with anyone, that shows you back yourself.
100%.
The self-belief's there in the ability.
Yeah, I wouldn't be in the game if I didn't believe it. Yeah, I want to look back and say, you know what, I tried, at least I can say I tried my best. And I don't feel like wasting my time in the game. I want to be in the game. I train hard, I work hard. Let's go.
Just touch on that, what you said there, I want to say I tried, yeah? Not just in boxing, maybe just in life for human beings. How important is it to try?
It's important. There's no point doing anything if you're not going to try. It's otherwise just a waste of time, wasting your time, your family's time, your girlfriend's time, your wife's time, wherever it is. You're wasting people's time, and that's the worst thing. Life is short, so we just got to make the best use of what we got right now.
And especially, I think, in a sport like boxing, where you're risking your life every time you step in the ring, even sparring can change people's lives. How important is it to make sure that you are putting in every bit of effort you can?
Yeah, this game is tough. People don't realize it. I know fighters who stop boxing because they've had a bad spar, and they get beaten up in sparring. There's some old fighters of the past who were in the Crunk gym. I forgot the fighter's name. He was like 25-0, 26-0. He got beaten up in sparring, got knocked out in sparring, and he quit boxing and became like one of them churchgoers. What's it called? Pastors, yeah. I forgot his name. I'm sure if you Google him, you find out. But it's a tough game. Every time I go to the gym, I don't have this on my mind, but the truth is, it could be my last time boxing because I could potentially get injured. It's a tough game.
Does that ever weigh on your mind?
No, not really. No. But if I do dwell on it, it's very possible. That is just the facts of life. But to be fair, you go outside today and get hit by a bus, and anything's possible. Boxing's the same, but there's risk in anything.
100%. We touched on briefly a little while ago when we were speaking about, Beterbiev, Bivol and Riyadh season. Now that's changing the sport. We were out in Riyadh back in February, just over 2 months ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, 8 weeks ago today, 8 weeks ago today, the fight. It was crazy.
Wow.
Obviously, we had a great time out there. We had a good laugh and we enjoyed, some top class boxing on that card, the last crescendo. Talk to me a bit about your experience and your time out there.
One of my best weekends I've ever had. Great time, great fights, great just the whole energy in Riyadh. I was going in the shopping malls and just messing around, having a look. It was good, good food. The fights in itself were amazing. Best card I've ever seen. I had great seats. I was ringside, and I mixed in with guys who I'd been looking up to online and on YouTube and on TV. Bernard Hopkins. I met Bernard, and he showed me a whole load of love. When I met him, I introduced myself, and he put his forehead on my forehead, and he embraced me, and that meant a lot to me.
I mean, that's like a special moment for anyone who follows boxing. I mean, even as a fighter, that must mean a lot to you. That's a moment you're going to cherish forever.
Yeah, with that, I really took that in. Meeting Bernard Hopkins, and now he follows me on Instagram. He sent me a DM on Instagram, and he said a few other things in person that I don't want to share.
Yeah,
but he was a real good guy, and I'm a big fan of him. I met Benavidez. There was a few other fighters, but these fighters stood out for me. Hopkins for sure.
Yep.
And David Benavidez. I said to my dad before I went, I said, if I see David Benavidez, I said I'll get him to get a shout out for you, because other than AJ, he's that guy. Benavidez is my dad's favorite fighter.
Really? So why is that?
He just likes his style. He's a great fighter. He brings it, throws punches, and he's aggressive. But when I met him and I said to my dad, I said, he's also my favorite fighter. Obviously behind AJ, he's also my favorite fighter because he was a good guy, and that's what matters the most. Like, who are you as a person? And he's a good character.
So what did you get David Benavidez to say?
Yeah. He said, I told him, I said, you're my dad's favorite fighter, and could you give him a shout? He goes, oh, what's his name? I said, oh yeah, my dad's name is Khalid. He goes, like DJ Khalid. I said, yeah, like that. And then he did the video, but he was cool. Honestly, I became a fan, and he's a good guy, good person.
So some big names ringside. Who else did you sort of catch at ringside? Probably a lot of names.
Yeah, there was loads. Teofimo Lopez, Terence Crawford, Usyk.
Crawford's filling out quite a bit.
Crawford looked massive and strong, and he looked dangerous, and he looked like, if he were to fight Canelo, what they're saying in September, that's a 50-50 fight. Especially seeing the size of Crawford right now, he was looking thick, he was looking strong. So I think he would do 50-50.
That's a massive fight. A lot of people are looking forward to. On the topic of Canelo, what do you think of Canelo at the moment? He's fighting in Riyadh in 2 weeks. Yeah,
I'm a big fan of Canelo. I met Canelo a few years ago.
Who haven't you met?
Met Canelo a few years ago. Good guy. Real good person. Seen him sparring. Different. These guys are special. So I'm a big fan of him. I'm looking forward to seeing him fight in a couple of weeks, and then again in September, hopefully.
It's probably never going to happen now at this point, with Benavidez having gone to 175 and Canelo not really showing any real interest in wanting to fight him, or always sort of diverting the attention kind of thing. But if they did fight, who would you back? Not necessarily even stylistically. Who would you personally be rooting for?
Oh, who would I be rooting for? I like both guys. They're good guys, but I think Benavidez, he was cool. He was really but they're both good guys. I'm not gonna knock them. Yeah, but I'll probably favour to Benavidez, and I think Benavidez will beat Canelo. He's
a Mexican monster after all, and the word Mexican brings me on to the next thing. Your name, the Mexican style. I know it's not your name; it's your Instagram username, your Twitter handle as well. Mexican style. Talk to me a bit about where that name came from. How did it come about, and what does it actually mean to you?
My dad gave it to me because obviously Mexicans. But the Mexican style means grinding, hard work, dedication, like making something out of nothing. And if you're working a day job or your night job, but you're still pursuing your dream or pursuing your goals, that's what it means. And my dad said, just keep pushing, keep going, keep like a Mexican. You got to do it like a Mexican versus Mexican style. That's what it means. Not necessarily. I know boxing means like you're a calm forward fighter and you dig into the body, dig into the head. Like it's not necessarily boxing style. It's just about more of a lifestyle.
But it could be an analogy for that, where you're a go-getter, no nonsense.
Go-getter, for sure. Yeah, don't play around.
And that name came from who? Sorry, your dad.
My dad.
What did he say to you the first time? How did it work?
He just said, like, you need to go out there, make things happen.
He said it very casually, and it just stuck.
No, there was some things going on, and I was trying to do something. He goes, you got to grind.
Yeah.
He goes, I know it's not easy, but you got to grind like a Mexican.
Facts.
So, and that's the truth. That's how I see it. Just grinding and just take everything on the chin. And just keep it moving, keep going. That's what Mexican style means.
100%. I just want to say, a massive thank you for giving me a bit of your time today. I know we've spent a long time trying to set this up, so thank you for your time, Jabran. Is there anything else you want to say to the fans out there? What can they expect to see from you in the ring if they tune in to watch your fights?
Good fights, solid fights, old school boxing skills. I watch a load of the old tape, so I watch the old school fights and I steal their moves. so bit stuff like that to hopefully keep an eye out for, and just some great entertaining nights. Hopefully you see me on TV, The Zone. That's the goal really. Riad season, and hopefully you see me and you're happy, you get entertained regardless of the result. You entertain with my skills. Yeah, for sure.
Amazing. And we can catch you on Instagram. What's your full name on Instagram?
Mexican Style.
At Mexican Style.
Yeah.
And Twitter is at Mexican
Twitter,
Style.
I'm not too active, but I will be getting active on it. I think it's Mexican Style _1. And Snapchat is Mexican Style _1.
Cool. So we've got 3 places we can follow.
3 places.
Yeah, 3 places we can follow.
I think even TikTok, but that's not active.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
But like your boxing career, the aim is to get active on social media as well.
Active. Yeah, that's why I've been doing this interview with yourself, because I'm trying to get active. I want to put my name out there. A lot of people say, oh, you do box? You still boxing? I say, yeah, absolutely, I'm boxing. I just don't do interviews. I'm more into like less talk, more action.
Yeah. Facts.
But now I'm going to do both. I'm going to talk.
Yeah, you got to find that balance, balance.
Yeah, for sure.
And just before we leave, very straightforward question, but it's got to have a deeper meaning for you because you are a boxer. What does the sport of boxing mean to Jabran Bilal?
My life. Boxing. My life means fighting and just testing myself and challenging myself. That's it. It's just my whole life. It doesn't mean anything less or more. It's just, does that even make sense?
It's everything.
It's everything. Let's go.
Let's go. Thank you, bro. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Islam.